Hi, friend. Welcome to your mat. Today's class is a restorative style yoga class meant to help aid in digestion and just feeling really good in your digestive system. So, for this class, you're going to need a yoga bolster or a pillow. You'll also need a blanket. And then, if you have a block, please grab it. And then I'll meet you back here when you're ready. We're going to begin this class in legs up the wall. So, how we get there is we take our seat up to the wall with our legs out to the side. Maybe you want to place a blanket underneath where your hips will be once you roll onto your back. You're welcome to do that. And then take your side of your body down towards the ground as you roll up onto your back. Legs should be straight up the wall. And just allow yourself to settle in. Maybe you need to make some adjustments. Maybe you need to add a blanket or pillow underneath your hips. Maybe you'd like to add a pillow underneath your head. Take some time to get comfortable. We'll be here for a few minutes, so I want to make sure that you're feeling really good in this position. So you don't have to do anything super special. You just place your legs up the wall. This pose is pretty accessible for most bodies, safe for almost everyone. And it's a wonderful restorative inversion that is great for the nervous system, is great for the circulatory system, and great for the digestive system. So once you arrive, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Rest your hands out on the floor beside you or resting comfortably on your belly. Begin to observe the breath. Noticing the easy inhales and exhales. Notice how the chest and belly rise as you inhale and falls as you exhale. Each time you exhale, I invite you to let your body sink down a little bit deeper, inviting heaviness in your hips, heaviness in your shoulders, a softness in your jaw and mouth, relaxing the neck, the torso, the collarbones, softening through the belly and low back. And then allow your legs to heavily sink down. Imagining the femur bone, the upper bone of your leg, plugging deeply in to your hip socket. Spend a few moments here, just luxuriating in the breath, being present as possible. And if you notice your mind presenting you thoughts, things to do, things to think about, then just kindly thank your mind for the thoughts and let your brain know that you'll get to them later. Soft, easy breath. relax the face. Giving your body permission to just be here and be still. Throughout this practice, you may notice some sounds coming from your abdomen. You may notice some bubbles or gurgles, sounds of digestion. This is good. We want this. Because when we relax and allow our nervous system to calm down, it tells our body that we're safe. And when our body feels safe, it can devote attention and energy to systems like the digestive system and the immune system. So know what you're doing right now is so good for you, and your body will thank you. I invite you to slowly begin to bend the knees. We're moving into a malasana, or a squat pose, but we're going to do it at the wall. So bend the knees and place the bottoms of your feet flat on the floor, taking the feet a little bit wide, somewhere between hip and shoulder distance apart. Make sure that this pose feels good in your body. If there's any discomfort, make an adjustment. This is not your deepest squat you've ever done, but instead just a more passive variation. Imagine that you could soften your internal organs, inviting relaxation into your stomach, your large intestine, your small intestine, all the way down into the rectum. Let everything relax. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing into whatever sensation you feel. Enjoying whatever sensation that feels good. Just taking time here to rest, to be, to soften. Take your hands to the outsides of your knees and begin to bring the knees together, preparing to roll to one side, nice and slow, no rush. And then as you feel ready in your own time, pressing yourself up to come to tabletop, hands and knees. If you'd like some cushion under your knees, grab your blanket. Place that underneath your knees so that there's plenty of support. From this tabletop position, we're going to do a few slow rounds of cat and cow. So on your inhale, tilt the tailbone up towards the ceiling, broadening your sit bones or that bony part of your seat as you gently arch the spine, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. As you exhale, tip the pelvis back as you round your tailbone down towards the floor, scooping it under, rounding the spine as well, chin toward chest. Inhale, tilt the pelvis forward as if you wanted to spill the water within the bowl of your pelvis, forward onto the floor, gently arching through the spine. And then exhale, pull that water in, lift your pubic bone, rounding through the spine. Take 2 more rounds of cat-cow in time with your own breath. After your last cat pose, come back into a neutral spine. Take the knees wide and the big toes together. We're coming to child's pose, but before we come all the way down, I'd like you to take one fist, your right hand as a fist, into your low belly, wrapping the left hand around the right. And then gently press the fist into your belly as you bring the forehead down, either to the floor or onto your block if you need a little bit of extra height. As you fold over the thighs, the fist will gently press into the abdomen. And this is totally optional, so if it feels uncomfortable for any reason, please feel free to come to traditional child's pose without the fist. Take some deep breaths in, feeling your belly press against the fist. And then exhale, belly softens. Your fist sinks a little deeper into your abdomen. What we're doing here is just providing some gentle pressure on the intestines, on the digestive system. Breathing into it. Again, you might feel some movement here, maybe some bubbles, maybe some gurgling. That's all fine. On your next inhale, you can release the fists. And then slowly come up, and we'll transition into half frog. So grab that blanket from underneath your knees, place it off to the left side of your mat, right next to where your hips will be when you come on down to your belly. So from this position down on your belly, I'd like you to take your left knee, swing it out to the side onto the mat. Now you can bring the knee at less of an angle with the hip, so that it's a little bit easier, or if you want a deeper stretch, you'll bring that knee more in line with that left hip. Once you're set up, once you have that padding underneath your left knee, you can stack the hands and bring your forehead down onto your folded hands. And this pose is twofold. We're stretching the inside of the left hip, as well as putting a little bit of pressure again on the abdomen by laying down on our belly. Take some slow, deep breaths. We're going to take about 5 to 6 rounds of breath, relaxing your body as much as you can. Notice if there's any areas of hidden tension or tightness in the shoulders, in the glutes, in the low back. And do your best to release it. On your next inhale, gently engage the abdominals as you begin to slide that left knee back. And then we'll switch the blanket to the opposite side, taking it over to the right side of your mat. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So once you're set up, swing that right knee around to come onto the blanket. Make sure the angle of your knee, thigh, and hip feel good in your body. And then when you're comfy, you can bring the forehead back down onto folded hands. Let yourself settle in once more. Long, smooth exhales, releasing tension with each exhale, letting the body get just a little bit heavier each time. On your next inhale, gently engage the abdominals as you slide that right knee back down. And then we're just going to flip on over to our back. So grab your block, make sure that's nearby. As you gently and safely roll onto your back, you can move the blanket off to the side for now. Bending the knees, grabbing the block in one hand, and then pressing into the soles of your feet, I'd like you to lift your hips up off the ground, slide that block either on the lowest height setting or the medium height setting. You can try both, see which works best for you. Underneath your hips at about the height of the sacrum. So this is not the low back. The low back is above the block, the lumbar spine, which is right about here. We're basically placing the block under the fleshy part of our seat. So we want to feel the sacrum resting on the block. The sacrum is the triangular bone that inserts in between your two hip bones, those elephant ears of the pelvis. So once you've found the block height that suits you and the positioning of the block that feels comfortable, you can bring the arms out to the side, palms face up, or again, hands can rest on the torso. Let your hips and pelvis relax. Let your chest and belly soften. Enjoying this restorative variation of bridge pose. Take about 4 to 5 more breaths here. after your next round of breath, go ahead and slightly lift the hips so that you can remove the block. You can set it off to the side, and then slowly lower the spine down vertebrae by vertebrae, finishing with your pelvis. Bring both knees into the chest, hugging the knees in, but at the same time letting the tailbone and sacrum remain heavy. So it's finding that balance of the tailbone being really heavy like lead down towards the floor while still pulling the knees gently in. What we don't want is to lift the tailbone all the way up off the ground like so. Instead, we want softness and heaviness in the hips as we pull the knees in. This is Apanasana, also known as knees to chest, also known as wind relieving pose. So I'll let you take a guess as to why I've incorporated this pose into this class. If you're ever feeling bloated or you've got gas bubbles in your digestive system, this pose is great for that. You can also maybe sway the knees from side to side if that feels good to you. You can make circles with the knees, either both together or bringing the knees apart. Totally up to you. I invite you to find movement or no movement here that feels really good for your body. There's no right or wrong, there's just what works for you today. And sometimes, if you're having digestive issues and you do this pose, things happen, you know? Stuff comes out. If you've never toot-tooted in a yoga class, have you really been doing yoga long enough? All right, so let's release the knees slightly, and then I want you to cross the right leg over the left as if you were sitting proper in a chair. And then reach down towards your shins, knees, shins, maybe even to the ankles if they're available. And just gently pull them slightly in and apart. So you might be familiar with this pose seated upright. This is cow face pose. But instead of sitting, we're doing this pose laying down, which I think feels really good. Hopefully it feels good to you. If it doesn't feel good to you for any reason, please feel free to make an adjustment, to come back to knees to chest. Any of that is fine. So here the right thigh is gently pressing into the right side of the belly. Breathe. Slow inhale, soft exhale. And then let's release. We'll switch. So switch back to the knees side to side, and then take the left thigh over the right. We're just doing the same pose on the second side. So grabbing knees, upper shins, mid shin, lower shin, ankles, whatever feels good. And again, holding this side for 4 to 5 rounds of breath. Allowing your breath to be slow and easy. Our breath is one of the most powerful tools that we have to regulate our nervous system, to invite feelings of calm, to really slow down our heart rate, lower our blood pressure. So as you're here, I invite you to just really make this breath luxurious and calm and slow. And then let's release the legs, bringing the knees back together and the feet down to the floor. Our last pose before Shavasana is just a reclined twist. So move anything out of the way. Maybe you want to keep the blanket to place underneath the knees, but we're going to shift our hips over to the left 1 to 2 inches, and then we're going to let the knees fall over to the right. So maybe you want to block underneath your knees. Maybe it feels better for your knees to come all the way down to the floor, like so. Maybe you want to bring them onto a blanket or pillow. Totally up to you. We want to create this gentle twist, this gentle wringing out of the abdomen. So try to keep both shoulder blades down on the ground best you can. You can extend the arms out in a T shape or maybe a goalpost shape with elbows bent. Invitation to close the eyes if you like. Relaxing tension out of the legs, and the hips, and the belly. On the next inhale, let's slowly begin our journey back to center with the knees. Bring your hips back to center, and then shift the hips over to the right a few inches, bringing the knees now over to the left. If you used a block on one side, I invite you to use the block or pillow on the second side as well. Get comfy. And then relax. Next in-breath, slowly begin to bring the knees back to center, bring the hips back to center, and then we'll set ourselves up for our final Shavasana. So I really encourage you to have something under the knees here, whether that's a yoga bolster like this one, or if it's 2 pillows stacked on top, or if it's 2 blocks side by side with a blanket laying across the blocks. When you place something under your knees, it relieves pressure off the low back and really allows your hips to be in a more neutral position. And then grab that blanket, if you still have one, fold it up so it's more narrow. And then I want you to place this blanket over your belly, just for a little bit of weight on the abdomen. So take some time to get yourself set up so that you're really comfortable. Maybe you'd like another pillow or blanket underneath your head. Maybe you'd like an eye pillow or eye mask or folded towel over your eyes. And just know that we're going to be in this final Shavasana for about 5 minutes. And I'm going to leave you mostly in silence. So get comfy. Set yourself up. You can rest your hands on top of the blanket, or you can rest your arms out to the side, palms face up. settle in. Take a few slow, deep breaths in. Exhale. Let go. Release. Each time you exhale, let your body sink just a little bit further down into the floor. Invite a little bit more softness into the face, chest, belly, hips, legs. Soften the gaze beneath your eyelids. And enjoy these next few minutes of music and relaxation. On your next inhale, begin to deepen the breath into the body, making small, gentle movements in the fingers and the toes. Beginning the slow, kind, and compassionate process of reawakening. As you're ready, slowly bend one knee and then the other, taking your time to roll onto one side, to rest with the eyes closed in the fetal position. Taking as much time as you need, gently press yourself up to a comfortable seated position, eyes still remaining closed if you like. I invite you to place the left hand over the center of your chest and the right hand over the belly. Taking 3 breaths together. Inhaling, chest and belly rise. Exhaling, chest and belly fall. Inhale, lengthening through the spine. Exhale to soften the shoulders. Inhaling once more. Exhale to let go. Finally, bringing the hands into a simple prayer at heart center. Thank you for sharing this rest and digest practice with me. If you like, I invite you to bow forward over the legs, closing our practice with Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I'd love to hear how this class went for you. Make sure you let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.